welcome to Pittsburgh Sports Line. We're going to have a pretty good show for you tonight, I think. Got a lot of stuff going on. Special night for Smoking Jim. I'm Mike Migliori, Chip Hayner, Smoking Jim Frazier, Al Levine, the Talking Machine, and we're going to start out, as we usually do, with What's on Your Mind. Al, what's on your mind?
Happy birthday, Smoking Jim Frazier, Batman. We got your special cupcakes. We got to crack these babies open. We're going to break with our normal What's on My Mind, because you know I get everywhere. You can pick one out for you. Take one now, because this is Bethel Bakery, folks. And another one of the Al Levine Talking Machine special informational marketing plans. We got, I can barely get it out of here. We got some great cupcakes. I'll save that for me. Anybody like a little hamburger? How about a hot dog for the Magic Mike Migliori? And guess what, folks? We got some candles here. I don't know if you're allowed to light them up. We're gonna do one right now. I just talked to the volunteer firemen, and they said, "Be careful.
Be careful you don't set off the sprinkler system."
Let me set the best bakery in the area. I don't care what politicians say about it. Bethel Bakery.
Jim, blow this out fast.
They're the best. Hold it. Wait, I'm still talking. And we're not gonna sing because my voice is terrible.
Yeah, we'll sing.
You gonna sing?
I'll sing.
All right, here you go.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Smoking Jim. Happy birthday to you.
Hey, thank you very much.
Make a wish. And here I have napkins, so when I'm talking, you fellas can eat a little bit here.
I thought you were done.
Oh, whoa, wait a second.
Alan, is there anything on your mind?
Yeah, look at this.
He's in rare form.
That is delicious.
What about the crew?
We have 3 other
Four.
cupcakes. 4, actually.
There you go.
What do we have here?
For
Joe,
crew.
Aaron, and Rebecca in the sound room. They're guiding everything. You can pick a hot dog, hamburger, another hot dog.
Or Batman.
I don't know if Smoking Jim will give that Batman up. And he may not be here long, so a shout out to Bill Neal for calling him Batman, because I remembered that secret. And I better get down to some serious infomercial business. And Joe, I'm going to ask for your expertise again, because you know I always show a few little things, and I'll just do a little shout out to Level 20. Dante, I hope you're at the bar and you're watching this, because you're waiting for us to be there August 6th. We'll be down there talking some sports, and who knows what will be on my mind that night. We'll discuss that too. Then I have this Hug-a-thon special, Night at the Races. It's coming up in a couple weeks, and I got a couple great announcements for you. Here's our Hug-a-thon flyer with our charities: Pittsburgh Passion, Foundation for Life, Sickle Cell Society, Operation Troop Appreciation, and Cancer Caring Center. And we have a special deal that Terry Kahn from the Pittsburgh Passion gave us the opportunity to sell some tickets, and she's splitting the $20 ticket price with anybody who wants to fundraise with her. And she's also giving a raffle ticket. Listen to this. Smoking Jim, I know you know Franco Harris.
Yes, sir.
Well, you can win a dinner for 2 with Franco Harris. Look at that. There'll be tickets, and they'll be based on the Big 4 on August 4th, plus a Florida vacation.
Where's the dinner?
I don't know. At Franco's house, I think. They didn't give me details there.
Someplace where you can get spaghetti and ribs.
But they will cover that. And then here's the best part. 2 tickets to a Steeler game October 7th against the Eagles.
Wow.
So that's what's on my mind with the promotional aspect of it. Here's a shout out to Terry Kahn. Thanks for all your help and the opportunity. Let's fill up the seats that they allotted for the WFA championship game at Heinz Field August 4th. There's even a preliminary party, tailgating, and everything else there. So come on down, as they say. Thanks again.
All right. Thanks, Al. Jim, what's on your mind?
Hey, thanks,
Happy
Al.
birthday.
Happy
surprised.
birthday.
Thank you very much. And there's no place I'd rather be on my birthday than to spend it with my business partner, Aaron Ward. But in honor of my birthday, and in honor of the Pittsburgh Steelers beginning training camp next week, I think that the Pittsburgh Steelers have a young linebacker the city of Pittsburgh's going to love. I don't know how long he can stay healthy, but he's going to wear number 51. He's a rookie from Miami named Spencer, and he's going to be a tackling machine. You heard it here first. But I'm going to give my top 10 middle linebackers of all time.
Can I guess the first one?
Okay.
Please.
Well, not the first, but you can get, because I'm going in descending order from
Okay.
10 on down.
I was going by your favorite one. I'll hold back.
Okay.
It's your birthday.
All right, thanks. I'll let you. I'll hold off on number one and see if you can guess. But at 10C.
I have to clarify. Did you say it was 10?
It's going to be the former New Mexico University free safety who went there as 160 pounds, Brian Urlacher, that gained almost 100 pounds while he was in college, scored 6 touchdowns his senior year. He caught 6 touchdowns as a wide receiver. He was a great punt returner for New Mexico. 10B, Dennis Dirt Winston, former Pittsburgh Steeler. Number 10, Levon Kirkland, who I think changed the game, how linebackers are played. First 280-pound linebacker, maybe still the only. Number 9, Patrick Willis, former University of Mississippi great. How can you have Patrick Willis, Blindside, and Mike Wallace all on the same team, and you still got a losing record? Number 8, Sam Huff. Number 7, great leader from the Green Bay Packers, Ray Nitschke. Number 6, the late, great Junior Seau. Hopefully pretty soon there'll be, we'll get some information more about his brain. Number 5, Willie Lanier from the Kansas City Chiefs. Number 4, one of my all-time favorite linebackers, I think one of the greatest game day players of all time, the Adrenaline. This guy on game day could literally lift a car up off of a child. That's how much. It's amazing he didn't have a heart attack on game day. That's Jack Lambert. Number 3, Mike Singletary. Number 2, no question about it, one of the all-time greats, Dick Butkus. And number 1 is Al?
Ray Lewis.
The greatest football
How'd I
player
guess?
of all time, not even a linebacker. So that's Smoking Jim's top 10 middle linebackers of all time.
I'd like to say Urlacher and I have something in common. I also gained 100 pounds while he was in college. Well, Chip, what's on your mind?
What's on my mind? Thanks, Mike.
You're
How
welcome.
about the
How do I
cupcakes?
follow these two right here? They're tough acts to follow. What's on my mind is, a sporting event that nobody's really paid much attention to that's been going on for the last couple of weeks. It's called the Tour de France. The bicycle race that Lance Armstrong won 7 years in a row under the cloud of suspicion of doping. And, you'd figure with all of the investigations into people doping and doing blood transfusions and performance-enhancing drugs that they would finally find a way to get this right. And once again, somebody else is caught cheating in the Tour de France. And I think at this point that it's so tainted that they should just eliminate it completely. It's, if they can't clean it up and run a clean race, why even run it at all? That's the first thing that's on my mind. And the second thing is I was reading something in the paper on Monday morning, and, we've got all these NFL players that are suing the NFL over the concussion issue. And, these guys are going back to, 15 and 20 years, and they said, well, nobody ever told them that repeated blows to the head was hazardous to their health. And the thing I read in the paper that made me laugh out loud was, do you think maybe the gladiators should sue the Roman Empire because fighting to the death is hazardous to your health? And did anybody ever tell them? But that's what's on my mind.
Nice.
Oh, shit. Well, what's on my mind, I guess, is something similar. Our local boxer, Monty Mesa Clay, fought a great fight the other night, beat a former junior featherweight or super featherweight champion. Monty Clay, again, is the most exciting fighter that I've ever watched. I think that it's terrible that he's doing his, he's been stuck doing house shows, local house shows for all this time. That I think Monty Clay would make a great pay-per-view fighter. I think that if he could get some exposure to some of these people, that they would love to put him on a pay-per-view to fight for a championship. I don't know if he would win or not, but I guarantee it will be an exciting fight to watch. Monty Clay, they say, easily the most exciting fighter I've ever watched fight. And that's what's on my mind. Chip, I'm sure that you and all the other Pirate fans here locally never want to hear the words deja vu, but they've played 4 games since the All-Star break, and they won 1, lost 3, but none of them have they played very well.
Absolutely correct, Mike. The Pirates have fallen back into some of their old habits, and actually, watching the 5th inning on Sunday kind of took me back to 2010. You have Garrett Jones overthrowing the cutoff man. You have Pedro Alvarez blowing a play at third base. You have A.J. Burnett not covering third base when he should have been. Gave the Brewers 4 runs that they ended up winning the game by. Baseball season, it exposes your flaws. 162-game season. We went through about a 6-week period when the Pirates played as good a baseball as they can play, and they are capable of playing that kind of ball. And they're also capable of stepping on their own foot, just as they have. I think one of the things that kind of got me concerned right now, and if you've been listening to the local talk shows, everybody's talking about Justin Upton. Let's make a trade for Justin Upton. And the thing that makes me curious about that is that Justin Upton was drafted in the same year as Andrew McCutchen and Ryan Braun. Okay, so this is an up-and-coming young star who played very well a couple of years ago, not so much lately. And if Arizona is so ready to write him off right now, there's got to be a reason for it. Is he damaged goods? And I don't know if we should be giving up, a lot of our prospects to go after Justin Upton. I think what a better move might be is if the Pirates were to bring Starling Marte up, send down either Josh Harrison or Gorkys Hernandez, and let's find out if Marte can play at the major league level. He's tearing up AAA right now. They can't do any worse than what they're doing. He's a speedster in the outfield, and if you were to have an outfield of Presley and McCutchen and Marte, it would be an interesting mix and to see how he does. I really don't think the Pirates really need to pull the trigger on a trade. I know everybody thinks, trade for a big bat, but, I think everything that the Pirates need is within the organization. They just got to keep playing ball the way they played before the All-Star break instead of the way they're playing after. But, a couple of wins, and I think they're going to turn things around tonight in Colorado. Eric Bedard, he's 4-10. He hasn't won a game since June 8th, I believe, and I think he's going to come up big tonight. And the Pirates are going to, end up coming home on Friday against the Marlins, going 3-3 on this road trip, which would be, a step in the right direction.
Well, I think it's the same old plan. I was trying to jump on that bandwagon. One leg's almost off, Chip. I'm struggling right now because I coined that phrase, SOBs, same old buckos, and I don't want to be right.
Yeah.
They were so exciting. They looked like world beaters, and now maybe some of the breaks that were going their way aren't going that way, but the dumb plays were there beforehand, Chip, and they overcame them. Some of those same thrown to the wrong base, not covering, that happened. Some of the lackadaisical play from, I'm not going to mention his name again, but he's that third baseman. It just seems he loses interest there. He makes a great play, then he strikes out a few times, then he loses some interest. But, they got to deal with that. They got Clint Hurdle, who's been playing on his gut feelings, and it's worked out. Let's hope the same plan is not going to follow through as it did last year, because that crushed all of us. So I'm not collecting the dollar yet, and I'm not paying that dollar yet, Chip.
Yeah, and just in true typical Pittsburgh sports fan tradition, we're throwing in the towel on them after a couple of losses. we do the same thing with the Steelers. The first time they lose a game or the first interception Roethlisberger throws, people are booing them. And, we did the same thing with the Penguins this past year. They went through a 6-game streak where they lost 6 in a row, and everybody was like, trade Crosby, trade Malkin, and I think the Pirates are going to turn this around. It's going to be a great second half of the season. I'm not throwing the towel in on them. I still think that they're going to end up winning the Central Division. And I will be collecting, Alan.
Hey, Chip, I'm still on the bandwagon. I didn't leave that bandwagon. I just disagree.
1 foot off, huh?
Right. The foot, it's dangling right now. I got a dangling foot right now, and I'm still holding on to that dollar. Matter of fact, I'm squeezing it. You better eat that cupcake.
Well, the bigger problem the Pirates had in that series against Milwaukee is I believe they struck out 44 times in that series. And the only person that hit with any consistency was Andrew McCutchen. And, I think that's just everybody's just trying a little too hard to do too much. The one thing they were doing when they were winning a lot of games, they were having a lot of good quality at bats. And, the batters were waiting, swinging at pitches that were, that were actually strikes and, and driving the ball. And I think if they can just get back to the same formula that they were doing a couple of weeks ago, they're going to be fine.
I don't understand the frenzy over Justin Upton. I mean, he plays in Arizona, which is a hitter's park. He's only got 7 home runs this year, which puts him, in the middle of the pack with the Pirates. We got a lot of players that are batting better than him right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe that bringing him here is all of a sudden going to turn him on and he's going to start, pounding the ball. So I don't understand why, first off, why give Marte to Arizona for Upton? Basically the same player. Marte probably has a little bit more future to him than Upton, I would think. I would not give up Garrett Cole for anything. I think he's the pitcher of the future for the Pirates.
Absolutely.
He's the Pirates' future ace. I'm not as impressed with Tylon as everybody else, but he's a good pitcher also. I don't know if I would trade them away without something a lot more upside coming back. As far as Pirates' current performance, first, I still think that Hurdle's a bad manager. He misuses the pitchers terribly. Misuses the pitchers. There's no reason to pitch 5 pitchers in every game. It doesn't have to happen that way. He's got 2 shortstops playing in the outfield. Harrison's a nice player, but he's a shortstop. He shouldn't be playing out in the outfield. He cost him the game last night.
Yes, he did.
Even though Drew Sutton, everybody remembers the walk-off home run, everybody loves that stuff, that's one of only 2 hits in his last 20 at-bats.
Yep.
So his bat's not all that impressive. And also, he's an infielder, he's not an outfielder. This might be the time to bring Marte up and put him in the outfield.
And I agree with you.
Play his regular position and see if he can at least do a little bit better defensively. They're defensively, over these past 4 games, the Pirates have been horrible. They lost in the 3rd game to Houston because they gave up 3 errors. They had 3 errors in 1 inning.
Mm-hmm.
I can't go through history and find out, but I bet there are not a lot of teams that have committed 3 errors in 1 inning and won the game.
And I have
They may have done that. I'm not sure, Chip, but didn't they have 3 errors in that one game, and they had a chance to win it when they come back? Remember the 1 inning, Alvarez even threw the ball away, and they were throwing it over the bases, and they had a chance in the 9th to win it. But like you say, they didn't come back to win it.
Friday's game, they lost 10-7, but they came back a couple of times. And even Sunday, they still had an opportunity to win. But I think the bigger upside to Starling Marte than to Justin Upton, if they trade away, the prospects they have now. I mean, Marte, if they bring him up, they've got him for another 6 years. Okay, he turns out to be another splash player. We've got him moving forward. Now, Upton, we may only be renting him for a year or 2, and then he's gone. And if he turns things around, we may not be able to afford to keep him. And then if you overpay him, what does that do with Andrew McCutchen, who's already the superstar that signed for $51 million? So somehow seem to think that there's something with Upton, and why would somebody be willing to get rid of a player who's 24 years old?
Oh, we've got a call.
Maybe it's a birthday wish for Smoking Jim.
Hello, caller. What's your name? What would you like to talk about? Nope. Looks like we lost the call.
Well, in case they forget the number, 412-831-3304. And something with the Buccos, I'll jump on this bandwagon, Chip. They should not change anything they have. Like I said with the Penguins, when everybody had that captain's meeting and they threw Sid under the bus, once they get a few wins under their belt, all the fickle fans in Pittsburgh will be back again. Front-running Pittsburgh fans, that's a tradition, is what you were alluding to. So we'll wait and see a little bit, Chip. But they do have to start producing, and you can't give away those cheap runs each game.
And you know, they played so amazingly for 6 weeks. You know, there's got to be some hiccups during the course of the season, and that's all I believe that's going on right now.
Well, I tell you what, I tell you what, they're just exciting to watch. Defensively, you can't beat Neil Walker. His bat is coming alive. And what can you say about Andrew McCutchen? You know, Sunday, I'm watching the game, couldn't give it up. I didn't think they could come back, but in the 9th inning, he had a single home run to make it 10-7, and you thought, oh, maybe there might be some magic there. And last night, I even stayed through the rain delay up to about midnight because I had a
You're
feeling,
on the bandwagon.
I had a feeling that Pedro's one of my favorite hitters below 250 in league history, but you know, the guy just he can hammer that ball, and I had a feeling he was going to take it out of the park, and he sure did. He got it all, but tied it up in the 9th inning and lost it at the bottom of the 9th. So they're playing some exciting ball.
Yep, I'll be down at the games on Friday and Saturday night this week. Oh, yes, sir. I'm going to be down there rooting on my Buccos. You know, I bought into a season ticket plan. I'll be going to every Friday and Saturday game from now through the end of the season. So
what's that 10-game plan you have?
Yes, it is. Absolutely, man. I put my money where my mouth is.
Hey, we appreciate that, Chip.
Well,
So
there
do
you
the
go,
Pirates.
everybody. If you want to meet Chip, go to the Pirate game.
Section 316.
Whoa,
Right behind home plate.
316. That's like a biblical type
Yeah,
thing.
Right behind home
Debo.
plate.
Whoa, we're talking baseball here.
And since he's probably not going alone, if you do go meet Chip, you're in for a treat.
Whoa.
Yeah, I'm the luckiest man alive.
Where do you want to go after that comment? We can't top that, Chip.
Yeah.
We all like Stephanie. Shout out to Stephanie.
So, next.
Next, well,
I think the Steelers have solved all their offensive line problems.
absolutely, they signed Max Stark
Max
today.
Stark is back in the fold. What do you think about that, Jim?
Oh man.
Well, I'm happy with it. Remember, I liked him at the end of last year. They got him cheap. He helped out. He got in the way of a couple of those defensive ends. So Big Ben was able to stumble around and complete some passes. What was that? Pop screen that they throw? Who's going to be involved in that, Smoking Jim? That's what I want to know. Who's getting the little screen pass there? So we'll have to see there.
Training camp starts in, 8 days?
Yeah, the 24th or 25th, and you know, my prediction again is with the retiring Bill Cowher players. I just feel like the Pittsburgh Steelers are going that much closer to a 9-7, 8-8 record, which they probably will fulfill this year. But bringing back Max Starks is another thing. You know, everybody's saying the Pittsburgh Steelers offensive line has improved, but
Till
you
today.
know. Yeah, you know, I don't know where the improvements has been coming from. You know, 2 years ago, your second best offensive lineman next to Marquise Pouncey was the Samoan. Samoan had potential to be an outstanding NFL offensive lineman. I mean, the guy was 350 pounds. He could pancake you. He could pull. The only thing is, he was, in the words of Archie Bunker, a meathead from the neck up.
Wow, a little history.
But I felt like he should have been still on the team and still would have been able to be, you know, you got to be able to coach a guy like that. You don't get rid of talent like that. Now you're bringing back Max Starks. What does that say about the dope-smoking left tackle from Ohio State, Adams? What do you say about Gilbert, last year's guy that they had targeted for left tackle? So now in the last 2 drafts, you've spent good money with second-round draft picks for a future left tackle, and then you're bringing back Barney Max Starks with size 19 shoe. I've yet to see him and Big Bird in the same room at the same time. This is a guy that's a human turnstile. He's been getting your quarterback killed for years, but he's a good copy. He's a good interview. He's a very intelligent guy when he speaks to the media. So the Pittsburgh Steelers keeps bringing back guys like Max Starks and Trey Essex.
Now, they said on the radio, which is a wealth of information, that they brought back Max Starks so they could move Gilbert to the right side. Why would you want to move Gilbert to the right side? They should move Gilbert to the unemployment line, right behind Max Starks.
At least with Gilbert on the right side, when he lets the guy past him, at least Penn will see him coming.
Starks, as Jim kind of alluded to, instead of giving him a number, they should just put welcome across his chest because he's a doormat. He's not going to stop anybody from coming in. With drafting one good offensive lineman at least, and then, some
my question about
party guys from Ohio State, maybe they had improved it a little bit, but bringing back some old news, that's not going to help.
Well, my question about Max Starks is he blew out his ACL against the Broncos. Okay, last time we saw him, he had to go get his leg operated on. Now, I don't know, but, this is, is he coming back too soon? How long does it take to come back from an ACL, So he's...
Hey, Chip, at least he doesn't have sickle cell, buddy. It just happened. That's one of our charities, and Ryan Clark won't be there. And at least he doesn't have that. And they start at Denver this year, so maybe he'll be working out and in great shape for that. Just another little prop I had to bring out for you.
No, but my question with Max Stark is is he going to be healthy to play? And you're an offensive lineman. You need your legs. You need to have a solid base underneath you to take on these 360-pound defensive linemen. And is he going to be?
Well, what's his weight?
To do that?
What's his weight? Is his weight down now? Because he can play a little better when he's not 400 pounds.
Nobody knew that he tore his ACL because he wasn't any slower than he was before he tore it.
Well, like most offensive linemen, they have that quick 2-3 steps. They have that quick blocking speed, which they like. So maybe when he's falling forward, that helped.
He doesn't. They push him backwards. He falls backwards.
With the running back like Mendenhall, they say 10 to 12 months before he can come back and play. Why is it different for an offensive lineman? I know a running back's got to cut and everything like that, but a defensive lineman's got to stay, or an offensive lineman's got to stay planted. He needs the balance and the pivots of his knees. So I just don't know. I kind of question it on that note right there.
Well, I think the double brace they put on him may help him when they give that brace like the linemen wear in college and everything that prevents stuff. They'll have him braced up and he'll be able to stand there and get in the way again. That does help.
And it's just so funny with Max Starks. We go a long way back. I thought that his quarterback at Florida was a bum in Grossman, and he proved me right in the National Football League. Here's a guy that got a nickname when he was in college. It's The Undertaker. He's never pancaked a guy in the history of college in the NFL, and he was called The Undertaker because his family owns a funeral business, not because he was putting folks down. So, so if I'm looking for somebody to, help embalm somebody after they pass away, Max Starks would be my man. But if I'm looking for a great offensive lineman for the National Football League, I would never pick him.
Now, also on another note with the Steelers, are we going to see Mike Wallace in training camp? And if Mike Wallace doesn't sign and decides to hold out, what's that going to do to Antonio Brown? Because Antonio Brown got a chance to flourish because Wallace was running the deep routes and opening up things underneath for Antonio Brown, gave him the opportunity to shine. But if Antonio Brown becomes the focus of the air attack, is that going to diminish the number of quality touches that he gets?
Well, the one thing about a guy like Antonio Brown, certain special guys only come around here about every 10 years, and there's nobody that's going to outwork Antonio Brown. His work ethic is right up there with the Rocky Blyers, the Jerry Wesses, the Walter Payton, the Jerry Rice, the Walter Paytons. It's definitely Antonio Brown's going to still have a great year. It's a shame that he can't return punts and kickoffs anymore because the Pittsburgh Steelers think he's too valued as a wide receiver. But the person that's going to hurt the most is Mike Wallace. I look for Mike Wallace to have a Deshae Jackson type year. Deshae Jackson, who's originally from the Hill District, but moved out to Long Beach, California to compete as a high school player. But he was one of the best football players in the National Football League, but he held out contract negotiations and had a horrible season in Philadelphia last year. Mike Wallace, the same way. This man's from Mississippi. Again, I've never met anybody. I never met a brain surgeon come out of Mississippi. So now you got a brand new offense. I don't think that I think it's going to hurt Mike Wallace. He's not going to be on the same page. Todd, the offensive coordinator, is a no-nonsense guy. You better be ready or he's going to be in your face. And I'm not sure if Mike Wallace, being from Mississippi, will take very kindly to a white man getting in his face. But Big Ben and those guys are not going to be on the same page. But look for Heath Miller to take a step as a wide receiver. The coordinator brought in one of his former tight ends. Is going to be good. Leonard Pope is 6'8". He's going to be a good tight end. So we look for a lot of two tight end offenses. And, you got Tenderfoot, who people still think can play in the National Football League, Emmanuel Sanders. I think his heart is pumping orange juice. I think he'll continue to prove that this year. But, Antonio Brown will still get his catches. But like you said, it's going to be a lot harder, Chip, because he's not going to be able to run free with a guy like Mike Wallace that runs a 4.240 to take the top end off of the defense.
And you touched on a very good point. Deshaun Jackson last year held out, and what happens when he gets back and he starts practicing with the team? He tears up a hamstring, and that's a lingering injury that it takes forever to heal from because he hasn't been in shape. He hasn't been practicing with his teammates, and that's what I'm afraid might happen to Mike Wallace, which could hurt him even further going on because he's playing for a contract now, and he wants to make that big money that get paid $9 or $10 million a year like the top receivers. Well, he's got to produce like one before he gets that paycheck.
I think that Antonio Brown, when put into the position of being the featured receiver, will have a great year. I think that's something that he's probably looking forward to. And as far as Wallace, he talks about being young money and fast money, and if he doesn't get himself back to camp, he's going to be talking about no money because he's going to have to sign with somebody. The Steelers made him an offer, a $3 million offer. He didn't take that. And I haven't seen any other offers pop up for him. It doesn't look like anybody else wants him, at least not this year, where they're going to have to give up some draft picks for him. They're going to wait. I don't think anybody's going to really overpay him though. I think that he might make somewhere between 4 and 5. He's not going to make $9 million because he's not that kind of player.
But it's going to be interesting to see the running game because you're going to have a 3 or 4 hit monster, maybe a 5 hit monster in the running game, which you've never seen before. Number one, still I'm not sure if they have a tight end. They got a converted tight end that's playing fullback. I think you should go out and get a fullback. But you got Clay. Who's 250 pounds. You got Redmond, who's 240 pounds. You got Dwyer that comes to camp 275 but gets down to 230 by the time the season gets started. And then you got Rainey, 180-pound speedster, who was one of the fastest guys in the history of the state of Florida. So Marquise Pouncey and his brother took him in off the street so that they go win a state championship at Lakeland High School in Florida. And don't forget that you got Byron Batch, who last year was an outstanding guy from Texas Tech. He's back. He can do it all. He can run. He can block. He can catch. Very intelligent guy. He's a journalism major at Texas Tech. Was writing for a newspaper down there. So very intelligent young man. Sure he'll be able to pick up Todd Haley's offense very quickly, but like Chip alluded to, tore his ACL a year ago. So is he going to be fully recovered from that? So it'd be interesting to see what they do in the running game this year.
We'll look for your report on Batch because I'm excited if he is healthy because he does look like he can play the game, and hopefully he is in shape and it's time to heal up. Maybe Rod Woodson will talk to him a little bit to bring him back.
No, I am interested to see how Byron Batch comes through because he's had a year to study the game. Being away from the game when you're injured, sometimes you can learn a better perspective instead of being in there and be so focused on what you're doing with the blinders on, seeing more of the field and what his role is, and see how he fits into the offense. So, yes, I'm looking forward to see what kind of a splash that he can make this year.
Well, I'm pulling for Baron Batch for a few reasons. I watched him at Texas Tech, and he was a special player there. But I'm hoping that he can make some money for the next couple of years. I hope that Charlie Batch ain't the only Batch stealing money in the Pittsburgh Steelers uniform. I hope he can stick around because, let's think about it. His dad left him when he was 1 or 2 years old, and his dad didn't come back into his life until after the Steelers announced that they drafted him. And I would hate for him to get cut and his dad leave him again.
Thanks for those insights, Jim. Any other conspiracy theories out there? Any other guys in that position there with their dads? Wasn't there a guy that was like Rookie of the Year that had a dad like that? Oh, he was around the whole time cutting deals. I'm sorry. Some quarterback there. At least his dad was around his whole life.
Cam Newton.
Right. Well, his dad was there for the whole time. So what if he took a little extra money for
Cam
things?
Newton and Reggie Bush's dad always made money.
Exactly, and poor Reggie only lost the trophy over that. He still made the money, so you can't beat some of that information. Well, we'll see what happens this year with the running back situation.
Well, Kobe Bryant recently said that he believes this year's Dream Team could beat the original Dream Team. Well, before I pass this on to Jim and Chip and Al, I got to tell you that I think the original Dream Team could beat this year's Dream Team this year. But yeah, that's just my opinion on it. Jim, Chip, Al?
Well, I don't know if they could beat him this year, but they were a lot better than these guys are trying to be the Dream Team out there. They set the standard. It was a high standard. They come out from, obscurity and did what they did. It was fantastic. They are true legends, every one of them, like you say. Maybe they could come out and win a couple games.
I don't know, Al. I think you're right. I think they could win some games. I don't know that Larry Bird and Magic Johnson came out of obscurity to play, but yeah, they were pretty well known.
Nor Michael Jordan. And I'll tell you this, the thing about the original Dream Team was that these guys were so competitive, they couldn't stand one another because they were all trying to beat one another at everything, they had such a killer instinct that I just don't see in this Dream Team now. Everybody's they've had it too soft, and they, they're too buddy, and they're friends. The guys on the original Dream Team, they went at each other's throats, and it was fun to watch them because you knew you were going to get their best every night. They weren't just going to show up, when the TV cameras are on. Man, they went at each other's throats in practice, and I just don't think that this year's team could even hold a candle to them.
And I'm not sure. I think the original Dream Team, not only were they great, but I think they had a distinct advantage. At that time, everybody in the world was afraid of AIDS and Magic Johnson, so nobody covered him in practice or the game, so he could run free. He could have scored 80 points a game if he wanted to. So if they had to go against the Dream Team with Magic Johnson, I don't think Kobe and them would have wanted to check it.
And I think one of the more least talked about players at the time, but one of the more underrated players on the original Dream Team was Charles Barkley.
Wow.
He was a monster. I'll tell you what, if he wasn't, he was probably one of the 2 or 3 best players in the NBA, but a lot of other people got more print than he did. But Charles Barkley was mean.
That was one of the places where there would be an extreme advantage is on this year's Dream Team. There was no rebounders. Nobody could rebound with Barkley.
Well, I'm still mad at Barkley. Barkley was in his prime. Him and Michael Jordan were only 28, 29 years oold at the time they were in their prime. But I'm still mad at Barkley for what he did to the brothers from Africa, the poor skinny brothers from Africa. I looked up and idolized Barkley, and he was throwing elbows to their ribs. You could almost see their ribs. Barkley took no prisoners, man. He should have eased up on them brothers, man.
Charles Barkley, I'll tell you something. When I was doing photography at Mario Lemieux's celebrity golf tournaments for the Pittsburgh Sports Report. I was out there one day, and there were a bunch of people there. There were lots of people, little kids and stuff, trying to get autographs. I saw Michael Jordan come walking down towards the practice tees, and this little boy couldn't have been more than 6 years old, holding the basketball, and Jordan pushed him out of the way and walked past him. And right behind him, the kid was all upset. Right behind him, Charles Barkley picked that kid up and put him on his shoulder for pictures. He signed that basketball. For all the people that talk bad about Barkley and his attitude and this and that, I think he's one of the better people that I've ever met doing sports. And after all the golfing was done that day, he was part of a press conference, and somebody asked him about like the new players, like at the time Allen Iverson and stuff like that. And Barkley said that a lot of these new players don't have respect for the game, and they don't have respect for what came before them. And he said one thing that you always have to remember is when you get to the top, you need to send the elevator back down for the people that helped get you there. And I think that was one of the best things that I ever heard. And the fact that he came from Charles Barkley is maybe even a little bit more amazing. And as far as throwing elbows at the African team, I believe Charles Barkley would throw elbows in a father-son game. I think he would throw elbows if he was playing against his mother. It's just the way he played.
And I'm going to tell you something. The thing I respect more about Charles Barkley now is that he's an announcer. And the man speaks his mind, and he doesn't back down off of any of his statements. You don't ever see him backtracking and saying, "Oh, I was misquoted." No, right. He says, you know what? A spade is a spade, and I said that, and and here's the reason why. And I'm not backing down off my statement. And I respect somebody that's man enough to own up to whatever they say or do.
And Magic Mike Migliore is the same way.
Right, and he does stick to his word. But one thing different about Charles Barkley than Magic Mike is I've heard Charles Barkley say he was wrong. So I have heard that on TV.
Mike almost said that.
Whoa.
Wait. Mike almost said that once, but he was mistaken.
No.
Wait, we'll let Mike speak for himself.
I
We were talking
absolutely have admitted that I was wrong on this show. I told you all the last time I was wrong was when I told Noah this storm is going to blow over. It might have been a long time ago, but
I want to see the birth certificate. I want the birth certificate on Magic Mike to prove that.
You don't even need to have a birth certificate to be on this show. Barack Obama won't show you his birth certificate.
Whoa, we went to politics right now, folks. That'll be another edition.
I have to show you mine.
That'll be what's beyond your mind.
I saw a note in the sports pages today, and one of the Dallas Cowboys wide receivers got arrested over the weekend, and he got arrested for assaulting his mother. Des Bryant, prime pick of the Dallas Cowboys, got arrested because he slapped his mother, grabbed her shirt, slapped her back and forth, and finally his mother said, "You know what, I've had enough of this. He's done this to me too many times." She called 911. She had him arrested. What a class act. Jerry Jones, you really know how to pick him, buddy.
And it's funny, too, that you brought that up, Chip, because don't forget that this same Des Bryant that got suspended for his entire junior season because he lied to the NCAA investigators about his relationship with Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders tried to reel this guy in. Michael Irvin tried to reel this guy in. There's no question about his talent. My draft report 3 years ago, my number one wide receiver was Des Bryant. My number two wide receiver was Antonio Brown. Two great talents. One went in very early in the first round. The other almost didn't get drafted. It was the third pick of the third round in the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they only drafted him to keep me quiet. But Des Bryant is getting in all kind of trouble. And you got to realize now, he's going to get in trouble with Roger Goodell. Mm-hmm. He's already in trouble with his mama. And this is a guy, and you look at a guy like Terrell Owens, and who cried on Dr. Phil's show. But Terrell Owens may have been a problem, within the team. I don't think the team has to get along for them to win championships or playoffs. You don't have to like the guy next to you for you guys to be successful on the field. But Terrell Owens never got in trouble off the field. This is a guy that loves the game. Dez Bryant, last year, he was walking around sagging in the mall with his jeans and got arrested because the cops asked him to pull the jeans up. He wouldn't pull the jeans up. I guess he wanted to show off his boxers. But, I mean, this is a guy that has so many problems and nobody is addressing it. No matter what you can say about Tony Romo and some of those other guys, and Tony Romo gets a lot of blame from me and a lot of other people because he has a big game disease. He don't show up in the big games. But it's a guy like Dez Bryant. Do you cut the cord with a guy like this, or do you keep letting him be an embarrassment to your organization?
Well, I think Roger Goodell will swing the gavel, and I think something's going to happen with him. And it says something to somebody where Deion Sanders cuts ties with you. I mean, it just kind of speaks to the kind of character that he's got. And I think, if Roger Goodell doesn't do something about it, Jerry Jones, Jerry Jones rode herd over the 1990s Dallas Cowboys, otherwise known as the Dallas Crack Wagon. The team that won 3 Super Bowls, the only thing they didn't do was commit murder. Jerry Jones puts up with just about anything. So, I think it's going to have to come down to the NFL to do something about him because, he's an absolute embarrassment to everybody.
An embarrassment. He's an animal. All right. Doesn't he have any brothers or sisters? Because I'll tell you what, if you slap my mother, you don't need to call 911. You need to call the coroner because you're dead. How can his family let him get away with that, let alone the people that, why would you want to play with this piece of garbage on your team? Why would you want to have a contract with him? I would have cut him as soon as I heard about that. It would have been still echoing off the walls when he was gone. He'd have never wore a Cowboy uniform again.
Well, one thing I learned from Smoking Jim being the emperor, there's other pieces of meat that'll come out there. And why would you ever beat on a woman, especially your mother? I wish my mother was still alive. And here you're telling me about a guy who has no character from top to bottom, how he handles himself out in the public, and he's slapping his mother around. To me, that's so egregious that the team should just throw him off the team. Then let somebody else pick up this troublemaker, or I'll bet you don't even see him back in football because he'll just fade away. The character he has or lack of, that's the type of person he is. So, they should just
his only way out
suspend
is if
him.
Somehow convinces his mother to drop the charges, and I would implore her not to. When I read this today, I had to read it like 2 or 3 times. I'm like, no, it was a family squabble, and I read it. He slapped his mother around. I was like, oh my Lord, I can't believe that somebody would actually do this. And it just
even if his mother hit him, why would he do that?
You live long enough, you can be surprised by just about anything.
I wonder what Dawn Imus is saying about Dez Bryant's mama.
You have to tune in tomorrow.
As long as he doesn't say she's nappy hair, you get away with it. Can't be saying that. But I think he may have learned that lesson. Maybe.
Some people do. Nah.
Well, now that Al Davis is dead and buried, so if Jerry Jones does get rid of him, Al Davis always picks up everyone else's table scraps.
Well, I think he left a little
list.
The
Raiders carry on the tradition if he does get axed.
Chip, he left a list for them, and it's still there. He has a videotape. Anybody that gets in trouble or gets thrown off a team, take them. So that's a standing order.
Since we're on football, I got to say something that I found a little bit disturbing, and Jim probably knows a lot more about what was going on here. But the fact that Gateway High School would even consider getting rid of Terry Smith after he rebuilt that program from like nothing back to being one of the top teams in Western Pennsylvania football. I can't imagine what they're thinking, except maybe they just don't want to pay the guy anymore, or maybe he's getting a little bit more too popular for their taste or whatever. But getting rid of Terry Smith, he's going to coach this upcoming season, and then he's done. Big mistake. And I'll tell you, when Al and I were in the car the other day, we were talking about it, and I said, you know what, if they would fire Terry Smith when we hit this yield sign, he'd have a new job by the time we get to that stop sign. and any other school in the area would love to pick him up, I'm sure. But Jim, what are they thinking out there?
Well, the funny part about it is they had an absolute school board meeting on Wednesday after we did our show, and I hit it on out there to spend some time with my good friend Tom Bradley, who was there, and the place was packed. I had about 1,000 people.
Wow.
What a beautiful auditorium that they have out there at Gateway High School, brand new, and there were so many people there. Tom Bradley says, "Man, I should have brought some beer, man. I could have made I could have sold beer and made a lot of money, man." But the whole thing is, it's so funny, Mike, that this is a guy that's in 10 years has made the playoffs for 10 straight years. He's never lost in the first round of the playoffs. Made the WPIAL finals 4 times. Been athletic director since 2003. USA Today had the team rated in 2007 and 2008 in the top 25 in the country. This year is probably going to be the best team he's ever had. They're going to win the WPIAL championship. As an athletic director, he's raised the level of Gateway Athletics. Gateway's never had a basketball program. He took an AAU coach, a white guy by the name of Mitch Adams, who's never had any experience as a head basketball coach, inserted him in as a head basketball coach, and all Mitch Adams did was win the last WPIAL championships back-to-back and went to the last 3 WPIAL championships, but couldn't beat the referees in Mount Lebanon in that game 3 years ago. The girls' basketball program, which they never had at Gateway, have the #1 girl in the country. She's going to the defending champions, Baylor, who Baylor has the best female basketball player in the country, Candace Parker. So the track team ran everybody off the track, but he was making, Terry Smith was only making $10,000 a year as a football coach, which I didn't know. He was making $95,000 as an athletic director. They decided to come in and cut his salary in half, down to $47,000, and he eliminated his benefits. They wanted him to quit. Now he has a special needs daughter, so now he had to go out and buy insurance. Then they came and they says, well, after this year, beginning in January, you cannot be athletic director and coach. No administrator can also hold a coaching position. So he can either take the $47,000, which is half of his income, or he can take the $10,000, or he can give up the athletic directorship and just take $10,000 and be a coach. But anybody they bring in as an athletic director is going to fire him. So he's in the catch-22 right now. But
well, when
he's
did they
focused.
change these rules so then they could do this to him? Because you hear different school
This year.
districts do this.
This year.
So they voted on it to change it. Well, why doesn't he get community support to rescind that or change it back?
Well, and I was reading into a little bit of this, and I know that because of the budget cuts that Governor Corbett made, and he slashed the education budgets of a lot of schools, and this has affected a lot. The Gateway School District has lost 18 teachers, teaching positions. And is this just an economic thing, a trickle-down effect, or is this just really a concerted effort to make him go away because he's stepped on somebody's toes?
Well, it's just an effort to make him go away. Me, I love teachers, even though the only class I can remember in high school was gym class and typing class.
How'd you do?
But teachers, in my opinion, is always going to be somewhere where you can replace. The athletic department, like in the university or college, which brings the money in. Magic Mike can tell you that you go to a Gateway game on a Friday night, you can't get a ticket. It's sold out. The money, they're getting ready. They got a $2 million press box. They built a brand new baseball field. They're just getting ready to put down a $500,000 brand new turf, but they want him out, and so it's crazy. There's no big time football program. There's not a quad A school in Western Pennsylvania or AAA school that only has a part-time athletic department. There's 21 varsity sports programs in Monroeville, so you can't have a part-time athletic director. That's crazy. But the assistant athletic director got fired, so that should have been enough. There's no way that you can be an athletic director at a quad A school and only part-time.
No, it doesn't sound right at all. It sounds like it's political. There's no doubt about it.
Where's Al Sharpton when you need him?
I'm surprised he wasn't there Wednesday night. Al and
He's on
Jesse,
his
that's all
way, I
for him.
guarantee you, bro.
That's right up their alley.
didn't turn over enough rocks.
Well,
He'll come crawling out from underneath one of them.
I'll tell you one thing. As much as I talk about Terry Smith recruiting people from like other states and other countries and whatever to play at Gateway, he's a very, very good football coach. Probably one of the top 2 or 3 in the WPIL. If Gateway lets him go, it won't be a day before he has a job somewhere else. I'd love to see him in Penn Hills. But there's a lot of places that would love to have Terry Smith as either athletic director or football coach or both.
And as we wrap this up, 80 scholarships in the last 10 years. He's averaging 8 full football scholarships a year. That's unheard of. And Wednesday, I was able to meet the next star, all-state wide receiver. Just happened to transfer from Keystone Oaks, Rogers.
Whoa.
He looks like a taller Troy Polamalu with dreadlocks. Looks like he's going to be a great, great player for Gateway. Rogers from Keystone Oaks just transferred into Gateway.
My alma mater. Boy.
Already all-state from Keystone Oaks. So look for him to be an All-American this year.
Where did he move to?
Gateway.
Who paid for that house?
I don't think that matters.
I think it does. If he got this guy off his pay taken away.
I was at a special event, Mike. I don't know if you've ever heard of this Champions type show. And Smoking Jim Frazier invited me out there to be on, and I was on the show. And I also got to talk to Terry Smith, who's a very nice man to talk to, very good family man, very down-to-earth guy. And he seemed like a class act to me.
As a producer, you invited him onto this show, right?
Oh, I asked him to come out here.
2 minutes.
Exactly. And this was back on the Super Bowl.
Let me ask you about that show. What'd you say it's called, Champions?
Yeah, I heard.
What TV channel's it on?
Hold it. I got it on speed dial. I'm trying to find out where it's
I'm sure you'll be trying for a long time.
It's only since the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's a lounge act, is what it is.
But Terry, you're invited on this show anytime.
Absolutely.
And you can put your case out here. I'd love to hear it. And without knowing all the details, I trust the Gateway King right here, Smoking Jim Frazier.
What was
Good luck to you.
his record over the last 10 years? 92 and 28.
Yes.
It's that's obscene, and he's not going to have a job anymore.
Like I said, as soon as they tell him you're fired, phone will be ringing.
Oh yeah.
Phone will be ringing.
Well, in case people forget, 412-831-3304. Check us out on YouTube. We'd like to hear your comments.
So we're going to get a little shot in for the Penguins here while we're almost running out of time here. The Penguins put out an offer to Shane Doan. Is there any word on whether or not he's going to sign?
God, I hope not.
Stay pat, Penguins. Stay with who you have,
I don't know about
Penguins.
stay pat, but if I was going to make a move, I would be after Bobby Ryan out of Anaheim. I'd do whatever I could to try to get a hold of him. Shane Doan, his production has been going downhill. He's an older guy. I don't know how many good seasons he has left, but I don't know that he's the answer, or Alexander Semin for that matter. But anyway, thanks for tuning in. Don't forget you'll be able to catch us every Monday starting in August down at the Level 20 Lounge, and maybe some Tuesdays after the show, like possibly today. So thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next week on Pittsburgh Sports Line.